Hey guys, today we're going to take a look at making a graph in Google Sheets. In a previous video, I talked about creating a table. So now what you have to do is you have to take that information and you have to plug it into a Google Sheet in order to make your graph or your chart. So those of you that saw the previous video about making a table, this information will look familiar to you. But what I've done is I've set it up two different ways. First, I took the entire data table that I made, and then I took or I made just a table of the type of activity or type of exercise and the average data. Sometimes, depending on the number of trials, if we put all that information in there, it can look, it can be too much to look at. So I think with just the average, that could that would look a little better. So I'm going to use this table down here to make my graph. So first thing you need to do is you need to tell Google Sheets what data to put into the chart or to graph. So you're going to highlight that information. Let me make sure I highlight just the cells I want. So I'm highlighting the information that I want here. So there's two ways you can do it from here. You can come up to the chart button, or you could go to insert, and then down at the bottom here, you'll see chart. So either way will produce this chart. Now, just what comes up might not be enough, guys. Okay. So some people, I've seen them take, they've done no editing. I've seen them take just a chart that's produced by Sheets and then they insert it in, and it's really not good enough. So it's going to give you some recommendations. Since we're looking at different types of activity and we're comparing heart rates, a bar chart would be the best to use. If we were looking at your heart rate over a period of time, that would be continuous. However, this isn't, so we don't need a line graph because it's not continuous data. So from there, again, it's going to give you like chart types. So line graph, I mean, you guys should be able to tell right off the bat, that doesn't look right. So let me go back to, I'm going to go back to the bar graph here. So I'm going to skip over chart types. Then you're going to come into the customization tab. All right, this is where you're going to label your axes. You're going to look at your title. Okay. But I want to go, actually, let me go back to chart types for a second. I'm going to let you guys take a look. I'm going to switch my rows and columns up. Sometimes you got to play around with this stuff. At least I know that it produces, by doing that, it produces my key here. So you can see blue represents running, red represents weightlifting, the yellow or orange here represents walking, and then you can see green represents yoga. So here's my key. Here's my average. So now I'm going to customize this. Let me go back into customization now. First thing you'll see is your title. Like I said, Google Sheets is going to give you a generic title. It's going to do the best it can, but you guys know that that's not good enough. Your title, and I really, try and stress this, but I find myself telling people this quite a bit, or reminding them, I should say, quite a bit, that your title has to clearly describe what your data shows. So average versus type of activity. This isn't good enough. I tell you, some people leave this and it's not good enough, guys. Average of what? Okay. So remember, we were talking about how heart rate's affected compared to different types of activities. Okay. So I'm just going to put how different types of heart rate, how different types of exercise affect heart rate. Okay, so from here you can again look at your fonts, look at your title. You don't want to go crazy with the coloring, guys. You want your graph, when you're gonna present this information, you want it to look professional. So neon, like colors like that, that's no good. All right, you guys are in 7th grade now. So you could bold, unbold. I think bold looks good. All right. But again, guys, it's your title's not going to be anything flashy. It's the way it is. Okay, so you don't have to come up with something catchy. Just get right to the point. What the graph is showing, and here it's how different types of exercise affect heart rate. Okay, and like I said, it's here's your color wheel, but look at this. I mean, that's kind of inappropriate. It's a little bright. It actually hurts my eyes looking at it. So, keep it plain here. All right. But again, you want it to stand out a little bit. Your colors. So then you have your legend, which is your key. All right. You can look at different places, so that it gives you to put it in. You got top, bottom, inside. So if you put it inside, like, I mean, you got to recognize that doesn't look good, and then you actually got to have to move it over to get the average. So you don't want any of that. Sometimes, me personally, I think the right is the best place for it. You can look at your fonts. All right. Maybe you're going to use Comic Sans, whatever it may be. But again, you don't want to go crazy with this stuff because you want it to look professional looking. So your background, I've had people change that just a little bit, just enough to make some of the information pop out a little bit. So I don't usually go with the traditional white background. Sometimes I'll add a gray or some sort of neutral color. Like you can see here, this is definitely acceptable. I don't recommend, again, something like this with the neon. That could be a little much. So again, keep it simple. And I got 2 color blues. This wouldn't work. So I'm going to go back to my light gray here. Okay. So let's look at our axis. All right. So the horizontal axis at this point we should know is going across and our vertical is up. But you don't see the vertical axis here. You have to click the drop down box. If you want to adjust the title for the vertical, you have to make sure you have it checked, and then you could go in here. All right. So average what? So I'm going to add heart rate here. All right, because that's the data that I'm collecting. I want to be specific. And once I hit enter, you'll see it pop here or appear here on the vertical axis. And again, I'm going to bold this. All right, I want it to stand out a little bit. 12. Let's see what 14 looks like. All right, a little easier to read. Now let me go back to my horizontal here. Okay, type of activity. That's fine. All right, type of activity is fine. Again, I want it bold. Sorry, I'm going to go hit the wrong button. Bold. And I believe I went with 14. Okay, so I'll put that guy in there. Check bold one more time. Looks like it didn't come through. Okay. I don't think you need to, excuse me. Excuse me. You don't need to mess with any of this. Again, when this is serious, they're talking about your key here. All right. So again, you could change, blue if you needed. You could change that to black. Okay. So you could go through and you could change there. Again, I just leave it as is with the axis on the left. Let me go back. It looks like I gotta fix my key. Right? I don't want it on the top. I want it on the right. And that's really going to be your area of focus with creating a graph and sheets for what we're going to do in class. So from there, once everything's done, again, guys, double check. All right, spelling. Make sure it looks good. Make sure you have your key when necessary. Make sure you have a title. And once you're done and you're ready to take this and put it into your lab report or your document that you're going to turn in, you click Insert. Okay, so now your graph is made. All right. When you want to insert it, you could come up to you see a little arrow in the top right corner here. Get your drop-down menu up there. You could copy the chart, and then you'll insert it into your lab report, your Google Doc, whatever it may be. Now, if you realize that you made a mistake. Maybe I give you some feedback and say, hey, you need a stronger title. You missed the label here, or whatever the feedback that I give you is. When you come back and open this guy up again, come to your drop down arrow. You go into advanced edit. Give that a second to open up like it did, and then you can come. It'll bring customization back up, and you can maybe fix your mistakes if needed. Okay. So I'm just gonna X that out, and that's all for making a chart or a graph in Google Sheets.